Golf's no different from hockey. Requires talent, self-discipline.
Golf requires goofy pants and a fat ass. You should talk to my neighbor, the accountant, probably a great golfer, huge ass.
How do you measure yourself with other golfers? By height.
It's a very, very special honor.
I'm Paula Kramer, and you're listening.
Well, we're waiting.
Hi, this is Martin Cove, a.k.a. John Kreese from Cobra Kai, and you're listening to
Quiet Please.
Let the word go out from here across the land. Let Daddy Noonan approve.
Hi, boys. Nice day for golf, ain't it? Quiet, please. Oh, you got secrets, eh?
Hey, this is Shooter McGavin. You're listening to the...
Hey, you guys. Hey, we're trying to have a podcast over here.
And indeed we are. 10,202 people. A record-setting amount of entries for this year, the 2025 U.S. Open Championship held at Oakmont. I'm Alan Depew, and you have found Quiet Please, the Golf Podcast. And as always, we are joined by our panel of industry experts. We're going to dive into, obviously, the week, our thoughts, personal opinions, maybe, Mr. Hydorn, as well as BE has a little bit of a giveaway maybe for us here at the end. Last week, Christian Dezamis, good to see you.
Happy to be back.
Without the beard.
Wow. Well, I think I got engagement photos Friday.
You're
evening.
Back to the prettiest podcaster.
I'm the prettiest podcaster with a goatee, mustache, beard. It doesn't matter what's on my face.
It's called a bigote. Okay.
Hey, I will say the one thing: it doesn't matter what's on my face. I always have a smile.
Oh, that's nice. Good answer. Good answer. You heard me mention him, Brendan Elliott.
Good evening.
Good evening. And the ever-present one, Mr. Andy Hydorn.
Yeah, this is going to be a good show. We got lots to talk about.
We're just waiting for Trey to chime in like last week. Trey was on a roll.
Yeah,
all right. As mentioned, you can chime in. We are streaming this live on Facebook, on Instagram, as well as our YouTube channel, soon coming on LinkedIn as well. Love to hear it. Who wants to jump in first? BE.
You know, if the Father's Day weekend wasn't cool enough with the U.S. Open, I got to spend 3 days with my dad at Cabot Citrus Farms, and my dad and my brother. We'll get into that later, but it was a great Father's Day weekend. We'll probably start with the U.S. Open though. Let's jump into that.
Probably ought to. It kind of dominated.
You can never tell you and your brother are related, though, Brendan.
Yeah, not at all.
No.
Yeah,
He's 3 inches taller.
Okay, that's about it, though. Your exact matches other than that.
All right. Well, then I'll jump in. I'm gonna go to the negative. Sam Burns got screwed. End of story.
Okay.
Debate me.
It's beginning of story.
Yeah, it's the beginning of it. Did he get screwed on that lie? No.
100% he got screwed on that lie.
Absolutely.
The lie. Yes, sorry. I thought you meant I've seen so many things about Sam Burns when it comes to, yes, the lie. He got not screwed. He got fucked. I'm sorry for swearing, but he got screwed times a million on that.
Yep.
I blame the USGA officials on that wholeheartedly. They were down there. They were close to the ball. Ridiculous. And that should have been taken care of. But I think Sam just put himself in a bad spot. I think it was just an unfortunate pressure of a major championship on a Sunday for him. I was rooting for him at the beginning of the day, but you know, I think with just some of his bad breaks that he had coming down the stretch too, I think it was just too hard for him to come back from that.
Yeah, let's talk though about this situation. And I agree, Christian. That was still a pretty.
And you know what? Hang on a second. I did a major disservice because first and foremost, shout out to JJ Spaun.
Yeah.
But this one's been bothering me because he got screwed.
Yeah. So, I mean, and there's people all over, you know, Sirius XM, you know, PGA Tour Radio, social media, people don't understand what the rule is. There's very, very quasi-famous people out there who have radio shows who think he didn't get relief because you only get relief when your feet bring up water. But that is not true. The rule clearly states that it's a temporary water situation in, I forget, abnormal course conditions, I think is where it's rule 16.1 in the book.
God, where is Bobby when we need him?
But here's the deal, though. Like, if your feet or the ball is touching temporary water, you get relief. And I don't know where this USGA official was thinking. And look, to me, the real problem here is giving Sam Burns relief is not giving him an advantage. It's taking away a disadvantage.
Correct.
Right? There are times where people can get advantages by getting relief. That was an absolute horrible situation. Everybody saw, and everybody who's played in those conditions knows that when that club enters the ball, the world explodes. There's water splatter. You cannot hit a regular golf shot when there's standing water. And I don't know what they were thinking by not giving him a ruling. Second part of this is asking for a second opinion while it was, very much, within his rights to do. It also was never going to happen that somebody would overrule the first guy. That's just how they operate. There's the biggest bunch of bullshit.
Well, it played a huge factor into the rest of the tournament for him. He's tied for the lead at that point.
He lost
relief.
He lost 3 more strokes to par.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that could change the narrative for him.
He lost 2 on that hole alone. After he gouged it dead left into the rough, got a horrible lie, left it in the rough again. You could just tell. I mean, it's like the Edmonton goalies who've been letting in so many pucks. I can't forget the one that just went in. He just couldn't block out that ruling.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that happened at that point in time where he was reeling a little bit anyway. But good God, it just I don't know what they're thinking. That is the quickest, easiest. Yes, you get relief. Here's where you take it. I mean, it blows my mind.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
When you have a course setup that's as difficult as it, I mean, that was the storyline coming into the week, how difficult the course was. You saw what the forecast was. Wouldn't you think that you would be ready for situations like this to come up, for any and everything to come up, and have your rules people be aware of the what ifs that was potentially going to happen and be ready for it? And the fact that you can't catch a rule that's relatively basic, it's a black eye for the USGA that often gets a lot of black eyes. And you got to be fair. I mean, the USGA does a lot of good for the game, but in terms of some of the bonehead mistakes that happen at US Opens, it's just a shame. It really is.
Well, I'll take it a step further. Do you guys, because I think the course personally, and we've heard Adam Scott talk about it afterwards, seeing a lot of the balls hitting in a fairway, obviously, and the water splatting up. I think the course was personally unplayable for these guys with how much rain that they got.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, you can make the argument for it.
Well, I got a thought there. First of all, by the way, I just want to throw that out there that I picked that Robert McIntyre was going to, at 7:30 in the morning, I said he was going to come up out of nowhere. Not that he was going to light the world on fire, but he was the guy that looked like he was +3 at that time, puts up a good score. Because I did check the weather forecast. The rains were going to come in. If he could get in the house or get far enough ahead of them, which begs the next question, USGA. I know everything's made for TV. Everything else is usually adjusted. Why did you not move up the starting times?
Oh, yeah.
Because they'd already announced that if they'd gone into after the 18th hole, their playoff was going to have to kick over to Monday anyway. They were running out of daylight. They didn't build in the rain contingency factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let me just say one more thing on the Sam Burns water thing. You know, a lot of people love to say, well, everybody's playing in the same conditions. No, that's abnormal. Like, everybody's playing in the rain, everybody's playing in the wind, everybody's playing every hole location, every tee location. Not everybody's hitting it out of puddles.
Right.
And that's why it's such a no-brainer to give them relief there.
And it is almost, as we all know, because we've all probably hit out of a puddle like what Sam Burns did. It is virtually impossible to hit a good quality golf shot out of a lie like that. I was texting buddies of mine when this was happening. I'm like, there is a 0% chance he comes anywhere close to this green, because the club's either going to open up or it's going to close directly, and it's not going to go straight.
Usually my ball is much more submerged than that. I mean, in a water puddle.
But it's not even virtually impossible. It is impossible.
You're right.
Like, you can't make a clean strike on the ball when there's standing water there.
100%. And no matter how good your mental game is, that always is going to play a factor into that. He was not the same golfer directly after that happened. I mean,
and maybe if you hear a little angry in my voice, it might be because I had him in the pool. Maybe. I don't know.
But he what was he at that point? -2?
No, I think he was even.
He was
even or +1 maybe.
I believe he was +1 at that point.
No, he was the outright leader, I know, at that point. I just don't remember what he was at.
No, because he doubled 14.
He had doubled 11, then bogeyed 12.
Right.
Yeah. He was part of that 5-way tie for the lead at that point, and it was virtually anybody's game, honestly.
He birdied 10 to get back to 3 under. Okay, then he got to even with the double and the bogey on 12 and 11, and then he was standing over that shot at even par.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much you can unfold, especially in that back nine. You had Carlos Ortiz coming out of nowhere, charging up the leaderboard. You had Terrell Hatton up there, virtually could have obviously won that as well, you know. But what a round from JJ. Like, I want to talk about him for a second, because he deserved, like, 40 on the front. The rain delay happens, obviously. He gets recouped, and then he comes back out and fires 32. It's incredible. And plus, obviously, the bomb that he made on 18 to seal it.
The bomb. How about the tee shot on 17?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I think we're all sitting there watching this, all of us. There was one guy that was not seemingly affected by the moment. One guy. And that's the guy that won. Yeah. Like, everybody else was, you know, crumbling at every corner. I mean, like, Adam Scott looked great for a while. He shot 79. Right? Terrell Hatton was right in it. Like, a bunch of those guys were Carlos Ortiz, like you said, Christian. There are a bunch of guys that were starting to nibble at that lead, but they all fell off. And I think the beauty of this tournament, and I think it's one of the best U.S. Opens I've seen in a long time, is the fact that those are wide fairways at Oakmont too.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? The pressure to hit them is dialed up tenfold. Because if you don't hit the fairway, you are absolutely, you know, making bogey, right? So it takes a wide fairway and gives those guys anxiety, and they couldn't handle it. JJ handled it.
You know, I'm so glad. Oh, go ahead, B.
Well, I was just going to say, to think that he went out in 40 too, you know, going out in 40 and having to come back from that.
Yep.
It's just, he said it in his post round and in the presser, that weather delay was his reset, and it was quite the opposite for almost everybody else, was coming back out after that. So yeah, he with the pressure and with his history of doubt that he's had for quite a while in his career, he almost hung it up not too long ago, you know. So
yep.
Well, the problem
he hit that tee shot on number 1, and I looked actually at the person I was standing next to in the golf shop, and I was like, man, that's the same swing he made on 16 during the playoff at the Players. And I was like, ooh. And he did do the reset. And I actually think of it in this way. It's almost similar yet different to Rory in the cart ride back. He's like, gave him the rain gave him a pause and let him refocus and say, hey, I'm still in this tournament. Scotty Scheffler was still in this tournament, for God's sakes.
Here's my question for you guys. And I believe 100% JJ Spaun won because he didn't win at the Players.
Oh, 100%.
But
I agree.
He was there. He felt it. He touched it. Like he didn't close the deal, but he was there. And I guarantee you that helped him deal with what everybody else was dealing with. And that's to me why he won.
Yeah, definitely. Andy, I'm glad that you said what you said about having it be a great Open, because there are so many people that I've seen on social media that just think that this Open sucked because there wasn't top 10 players in the world that were winning and so forth. I remember listening to a podcast, and I forgot who the golfer was, but he was saying how people were going to remember this Open by Oakmont. But now with JJ making that putt on 18, now that's what they're going to remember. And I agree to an extent on that, because you know what? So what? We've had other U.S. Opens in the past where I want to talk about him later, but Wyndham Clark, who won in L.A., wasn't a top 10 player in the world at that point. He won it, obviously. So things like that. It's just like, it doesn't matter who wins. It was still a phenomenal Open. I loved watching every second of it.
But that to me is why it was phenomenal, right?
Absolutely.
Right?
But
For
the people
reason.
who are saying that this was a shit U.S. Open, it sucked, don't be that guy.
You know what? I love the comment that has chimed in from our good friend Michael Booker. The anxiety was dialed up so high that it was almost didn't matter how wide the fairways were. Even the greatest players worry about the result. They can't make the swing.
Spot on.
And that's why Michael Booker's a stick.
That's right. But here's the other part of that too, why I don't love Pinehurst as a venue, right? Because you can drive it off the fairway there, and it's pretty much pot luck whether you get a clean lie or a bad lie. And I don't love that. I don't love the luck factor. I love the like Booker said, the anxiety is so high because there is no good luck in the rough.
All right, Andy, then I've got one for you, because I was intrigued how this was going to play out. What was the most similar type Open, at least in my opinion, to what we were going to see at Oakmont, which was the much anticipated wing foot return? And Bryson deep rough. Bryson blows it down there, gouges it out with basically wedges. And guess what? He didn't do that this week?
Because it wasn't.
Because he can't putt.
It wasn't as severe. And by the way, I told you last week why Bryson's not winning. It's because his golf equipment is suspect.
He didn't say that, did he? Did I miss something and he said it again or no?
I didn't see an after golf interview, but
probably.
He's saying it.
There's so much.
3D printed 6-iron was off a little bit.
I'm sure he'll have new golf clubs going on this week.
But seriously, was the severity of the greens and what have you at Oakmont? All things being relative, U.S. Open length golf course, not a long golf course, extremely deep rough, not unlike Wingfoot. Other than his biorhythms being off or whatever it may be that particular week, why did Bryson struggle?
Because he doesn't hit his irons very good.
No, he's not. He hasn't been.
Yeah.
If he's in play off the tee, that certainly helps, but he has not been. And he says it on his YouTube stuff that he's having trouble turning the ball over.
Yeah.
He either does it too much because he's trying to compensate for the fact that it's not turning over the way he wants it to, or it just stays out. So if you're not hitting your irons well, it doesn't matter, especially there, how well you're hitting it off the tee, because you miss those greens and you're screwed on quite a few of those holes.
And I said this last week too, that I think his set makeup is insane. Like having 7 clubs in your bag that you carry over 200 yards, when you carry your driver 320, that leaves you basically you're playing with a half a set of clubs.
Right.
And it's insane. And what it also does is all the clubs at the bottom end of his set, and I said this last week, have 20-yard gaps. You should have 10 or 12-yard gaps at that end of your set, not 20. So again, I just think I'm the smartest guy in the room. This is what I do. I 3D print my clubs, and these are my lofts, and I just think it's not healthy.
So I can understand his philosophy where he's using kind of a clock system because of that 20-yard, and he's playing off of that. But here's the problem with that. When you're playing with nerves, that clock system thing kind of can get screwed up pretty easily. Like tempo can get thrown off. And if he's playing well, he's fine. But if he's not playing well, he's a mess. Yep. You know, and that's the problem with Bryson, because he's so
rigid,
scientific, rigid, or whatever you want to call it, calculated. You can't always play golf that way. In fact, especially in situations like this.
I point to his, because the only thing I can do, I point to his putting stroke. He is so rigid on the greens.
Yeah.
How can he have feel? I mean, I realize talking about a 2-time U.S. Open champion. Much respect, Bryson, for that. But I think
I love Bryson.
I think there is just so much more that he could be.
100%. I couldn't agree more with that statement. I almost feel like he's getting too technical with it at times, like watching him. Right? No slap to him whatsoever. I've grown a lot on Bryson over the last years, as we all know. But I think sometimes, watching him, and I only watch him now 4 times a year, or unless it's on his YouTube channel. But I think, when you can't be too scientific with the game. Not saying what he's doing isn't working, because clearly he's won 2 U.S. Opens while doing this. He's also won on Live, but I think you get too technical with it at times.
He's so good though, Christian. Like, who's to say that he's not hurting himself, right?
True.
Like, maybe he would be more successful if he weren't so technical.
Absolutely, 100%. But who's to say that even people that aren't as technical on tour should be more scientific with it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's up to them, really. I mean, that's the beauty of the sport, is that you look at somebody like Bryson, and you go a whole 360. You look at somebody like Scotty Scheffler, and they're 2 completely different swings. You can't get farther apart on their golf swings, obviously. So that's the beauty of our sport.
Swings and approaches to the game overall. Like,
absolutely.
He's so far removed from that Bryson mindset. But Scotty struggled this week too. So I don't think there's one true way to go about this. It's just luck plays a lot into it too.
Yeah,
sure.
I think real quick on Scotty, if Scotty made a handful of putts last week, it's a completely different game. I'd even think Scotty would win the tournament, if I'm being honest.
7 or 8 3-putts, I think.
Yeah.
But again, to me, it's the guy who's at peace is the guy who wins.
You're right.
The U.S.
100%.
Yeah.
The guy who's got that.
And Spaun had that. You can see that.
Yep.
And again, Mike Booker, JJ's putt. This is an interesting take, and I kind of agree with you, Michael. JJ's putt will be remembered almost as much as Tiger's pitch in behind 16 at the Masters.
Totally agree.
Yep.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
And I would throw this out there to you guys and to Mr. Booker as well. If that doesn't go in, what's he putting for a second putt?
About a 4-footer.
I don't think it was anything more than 6 feet. I think
I say
no. I think he's laying right next to Hovland.
I say 6 or 7.
I think it was going by a good amount.
To go back real quick to his comment about being equal to like Tiger's shot, the reaction from his putting coach and his putting coach's son, and then Terrell Hatton as he's getting interviewed.
Oh, I love that one.
I mean, that makes you really appreciate how big of a moment that was. Hatton's video, that is classic to me. I reposted it on Instagram because it was just so good.
McIntyre too.
I didn't see that one. I gotta go back and see.
Oh
that.
yeah.
Oh, he clapped. That's right. He was
sat there in his chair clapping.
And he goes, "Wow."
Yep.
Yeah. So can we get into the whole? Because I have a lot to say on Rory and Wyndham Clark this week.
Well, that's a segment in and of itself.
Okay.
Well, we've titled this show "Spaun Hits a Bomb," Rory hits a tee marker, and someone hits the locker room. So we got a couple of pieces left in this show yet.
I think it's time for "Don't Be That Guy," Alan.
Oh, wait a minute. Should we be that guy? Where is that? There it is.
Go get him, Christian. Go get him.
I don't want to steal your thunder.
No, it's not my thunder.
All right. Well, I'm going to give this award to Rory and Wyndham Clark this week personally. More so Wyndham Clark than Rory. First off, don't ever disrespect a locker room at a golf course like Oakmont, period. Okay? That is a member's locker that you just destroyed. He destroyed multiple lockers, so I don't even know how many it was. I don't care how pissed off you get on a golf course. I don't care how angry you get. Wyndham's shown over the last couple of months that he has been pretty frustrated. There's been videos even circulating of him swearing after a shot. Just don't do it, period. Do it at home. Do it away from the golf course. It's just not good for your image. And honestly, the same goes for Rory. When it comes to Rory, don't be throwing clubs like he did. He threw clubs twice blatantly out of frustration when he didn't even have motivation to play this weekend, right? Because he's out of the tournament. You'd never hear Tiger Woods say that. You would never hear Scotty Scheffler in today's age say that, period. And also, he broke a tee marker. I think, personally speaking, if that happens to a magnitude, I think the tour should come out with some type of suspension for 1 or 2 tournaments to enforce it.
So to follow up on that, people are calling for Hadwin's head because he smashes an irrigation head in that tournament. And here Rory turns around and decapitates the USGA team marker. Andy Hydorn?
Honestly, there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for throwing your club. There's no excuse for getting in front of the microphone and saying some stupid shit like he said. That he walked back a little bit, but and you all know how much I love Rory. There's got to be something going on.
You mean that he's tired of you guys?
Yeah.
There's
got to be something going on.
You media people like Brendan Elliott, he's tired of you.
I would never do such things as he's claiming. I mean, listen, we're all golfers, right? That frustration can get to a point where you just want to do something that you shouldn't. But the beauty for us is we're not behind, in front of the camera 24/7. So part of me feels for that because they're always under the microscope. And I'm not taking anything away from Christian and Andy, what you've said about the disrespect of the club that's hosting the event, or the fans, or what kids seeing this, what that effect that it has on that. That's all true. But it's just sometimes you got to wonder about being under the microscope all the time. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Not walking in a man's shoes, right?
Yeah.
I get Rory has he's right to an extent. He has earned the right to feel like he shouldn't talk to the media when he doesn't want to talk to the media. However, a caliber player like him, a top player in the world, a top image in the golf world, obviously, you never see a Bryson nowadays, a Scotty Scheffler, these guys declining interviews as frequent as Rory. I love Rory. He's done so much for the game of golf, but I do think that Andy's correct. I think there is something going on at home that no one knows about that's really messing with him. I can't remember the last time I ever heard Rory say that I was not motivated to come to a golf tournament and play. And he said that. It shocked me when he said that. Genuine shocked.
4.5 hours in a plane ride. That's how he described what he wanted for the last day.
Yeah, I know. Look, he on the thing where he talked about I earned the right. You may have earned that right. Don't ever say that.
No.
Don't ever say that. You're just you sound like an entitled little bitch when you say stuff like that. And again, nobody loves Rory more than me.
All right. So we've been waiting for him. He finally chimed in, running a little late tonight here. Trey Fairways. The media has an entitled attitude. Rory doesn't want to speak. Deal with it.
Hey, I like that.
All right.
The media does always have an entitled attitude, but Rory's got an entitled attitude right now too. But can we talk about the real don't be that guy?
Okay.
Like, Rory's just an honorable mention.
we had 3 of them in our
yeah. So I think it's super interesting for the people that didn't see, like, freaking Wyndham Clark wrecked lockers at Oakmont Country Club. And there's some talk about him being banned from Oakmont. That would be the first time that anything like that has ever happened. So I'm interested to see, like, what's going to come of all that. I just think it's, like, embarrassing for someone. And I heard somebody say this today too. You know, Rory, when he's, you know, chucking a club down the fairway, it's in the heat of the moment, right? When he's, you know, bashing the tee marker, heat of the moment. Wyndham had time to sign his card. Like, really? Like you're gonna not collect yourself enough that you're gonna go lose your shit in the locker room? Like, that's ridiculous.
I agree wholeheartedly with that, first off. And this isn't the first time this has happened with Wyndham. I think he has a couple anger problems that I've mentioned it, obviously, when he's swearing on the course and so forth. But again, I think there has to be some type of punishment. Maybe the tour enforces something like this, and I don't know if it's just like at any venue for that matter. I don't care if it's at the Travelers this week or Oakmont. You just don't destroy locker rooms, period. It's just There's no need for it. There's no place in it for the game of golf. Regardless of what's going on outside of the golf course or what's going on the golf course, you don't do that. Okay, that's like somebody coming to your house and destroying your closet or doing something to your house. You don't want them to do that, so don't do it at somebody else's place, period. And I think that I'm curious if the tour will come out with some type of, punishment for the future if players do this, because who knows? This might happen weekly that nobody knows about. But given it was the U.S. Open, it's Oakmont.
I'll tell you what. I run a club. I'd ban him.
Yeah.
I think it's easy for you to ban somebody from your club. It's a little different banning somebody from a U.S. Open, but
he's already in the range.
I'm not banning him from the U.S. Open. I'm banning him from the U.S. Open at Oakmont.
No, that's what I mean. I don't know.
Shinnecock, he can come back next year.
Yeah.
I mean, not only is he going to pay for the damages, obviously, but I would personally, if I was in his shoes, you better be sending sorries to every member that you broke their locker, whatever, by Oakmont, something, whatever the case may be. But, I don't know.
All right. So first of all, Trey said Oakmont needed a facelift, and Wyndham was just trying to help. They got plenty of money off of this one. Michael Booker, though, did state the obvious here that I think we all think it. Rory has this habit. He just shoots himself out of contention until the 4th round, and he goes sea turtle low when he relaxes. Spot on, Mike.
He does.
What did he shoot? 67?
67.
Yeah.
Time for the low round of the day. Him and John Rahm.
You got a backdoor top 20.
Yeah, really.
And Trey's talking about he's entitled. He's one of 6 men. 6. I'm not sure I get your drift there. One of 6 men. Do you guys get what he's talking about?
Yeah.
The Grand Slam?
Oh, got it.
Okay. Andy, I'll throw this up there for you. Anything?
On the Live Golf Report?
Yeah.
Now, they were busy at the U.S. Open, a handful of them last week.
Hey, you know what? Shout out to Patrick Reed. We don't like him, but shout out to Patrick Reed jarring it for a 2.
Shout out to Carlos.
Yep.
Shout out to Terrell Hatton.
Yep.
And it was good to see a little fire in Brooks for a little while. I think it ended up, fading a little bit on him, but I think stuff like that for him means a lot.
Well, apparently they had to take him down to the bunker and give him a scolding.
Yeah, Pete Cowan gave him a stern talking to.
And can I just add this? Despite his final round 79, Adam Scott is a freaking stud. I mean, 96 major championships starts in a row, and he's gonna catch Jack. Jack is at 100 was the record. But if you looked at what the tour put out on their social, was every tee shot from him from every start. It's just incredible the longevity that guy has.
Dude, how about
he's ageless?
How about at 45 years old, he's ripping 188 ball speed?
Yep.
188 ball speed.
Yeah.
That's just incredible.
Well, there is one live golfer that we haven't talked about, and I'll put the hot seat out there. This was Phil's last U.S. Open, period.
I'll say what, he almost made the cut. He finished double bogey to miss the cut.
Almost. Yep. But I will tell you right now, I don't know if the USGA, I don't think that they should give him any more exemptions. Personally, I think he should go through qualifying. He never will. That's the problem with Phil.
I believe his PGA Championship victory gave him 5 years into the U.S. Open. I'm not.
Yeah, but I think it ended.
PGA Championship victory was in 2021, so this was his.
Yeah, so this was his last U.S. Open of exemption. So next year at Shinnecock, he's going to have to qualify.
Yep, and we know how much he loves the Rudan hole at Shinnecock.
He shouldn't even get to play because he cheated that tournament. He hit that ball that was moving. Wasn't that Shinnecock?
It was Shinnecock.
Yeah, it was Shinnecock.
But Phil's not going to go through qualifying. He's not going to. I don't think he will ever do that. So I think this was definitely the last U.S. Open.
They'll give him an exemption. They'll give him one.
Whose swing is Trey talking about?
Who you got there, Trey? That swing should have more majors and more wins. Such a classy swing. I'm going to say
Adam Scott. Yeah. He's right though. I mean, his swing is ageless.
Here's another guy. Putting. I am the new Dave Pells.
Well, that's what won it for Spaun. He got a new putting coach, and it was all about less about technique and more about mindset. And that is the key to putting. You can putt. You see guys with broomsticks and claw and all kinds of shit. But it really comes down to this right here.
I got to tell this story. So I went to college in Iowa, and we ended up going over to the next town over. There's these two living legends, and Todd knows them, and we get paired up with this guy. And he looks like Farmer Fran from Waterboy, literally with the bib overalls. And he does this side saddle putting stroke like he's down here like this, and one leg's kicked out. And that son of a bitch did not miss from 15 feet. I mean, everything. So, yeah, it's not necessarily mechanics. It's just visualization and just getting it done.
Yep.
And to Trey's point, we do need to shout out the lab putter with another victory with friend of the show, Bill Pressey. It's pretty awesome to see just how many people are using that crazy looking branding iron. And it's just amazing how much they've gained the interest and excitement of the golf world with their putters.
100%. I was actually texting younger Depew, Andrew.
Son number one.
And he has a lab putter, just bought one actually. Convinced that it's working inside of 6 feet, doesn't miss. So then obviously
cheat codes,
okay,
Christian.
Cheat codes. He'll still miss them though, don't worry. But I would say I'm starting to look at lab putters because the person in the back of my head obviously is just like, yeah, you should try to go look at a lab putter. What they don't know is that I just made 9 birdies on Sunday.
Nice.
With my putter.
Did you really?
I swear to God. I'm not going to tell you what I shot, but I had 9 birdies.
That's awesome.
I shot 200. Awesome. So that's what.
So here's my question. Here's my question for the lab putter, the one that JJ uses. How do you fit that in your bag? Like, how do you fit anything else in the bag once that thing's in there?
I would try it at like a Golf Galaxy or a Dick's. For me personally, I just don't. Mentally, I just don't like the way it looks. I like the smaller version of it. I like the smaller mallet, but for me, it's like I don't know. But hey, if it works, it works. He was making some great putts coming down the stretch. I mean, it was just incredible to watch it, to be honest with you. And I was super happy for JJ that he won.
I got a new putter on the way from this weekend.
So I'm just gonna hang on one second. This is the appropriate time to do this and this because my man BE, in honor of JJ, a Strixon guy and a Cleveland guy, you got a little giveaway. What you got, BE?
I got a couple of these before they were gone because I missed out on the Masters Edition one. So I'm going to give this one away to a listener. What are we doing? What do they have to do to potentially win this Cleveland?
Interact with us on the show. We'll do it for 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
So they'll interact with us on the show and then share the show on social media. And if it's one person that does it, then that person gets a wedge. If there's 5 people that do it, then we do a drawing between those 5 people.
I'm digging the red, white, and blue.
And you know what? Let's up the ante. Hold on. Stay right there.
Oh. Are you going for one of your gnomes?
We'll go second and third. We'll give out some of the new Strixon Divide Z-Star or the XVs. Okay. And I can get you pure white if you're not a Divide guy like I am. But we'll do a dozen for second and a dozen for third.
All right, so let's recap this, and we're going to put this out on all of our social. Okay, you have to subscribe to the channel. You have to like us and share the show on social, whether it's your X, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, or where else, Andy Bonus?
Instagram? No?
Instagram. There you go.
And then
bonus points shared across all channels.
Then you have to interact with us on a live show.
Trey's looking pretty. Trey's looking pretty good right now.
It's
Trey, if you're left-handed, I'm sorry, bud.
Yeah. It's between Trey and Booker. Right?
Trey and Mike Booker.
So
all
far.
right, 3 weeks. B's going to put together the rules. He'll throw it up. We'll get it out there on our social, and then I'm going to hit this button right here because pretty cool how it was the 18th green, just wrong event. Final thoughts. I'm actually going to go because I want to give him recognition. I'll let him elaborate because I don't know the details if he's allowed to, but our man BE is just putting up check marks on his writing and his columns, and you're going to be seeing his name everywhere in the golf industry soon. So,
I don't know if I can say yet, but starting July 1st, you'll see.
July 1st. It's right around the corner.
Much more than I've already been doing. And I had 90 articles on my checklist for this month to do. So I'm pretty busy, and I'm getting even busier.
Wow.
Okay. Christian, what you got?
Congrats, BE. Obviously, I'll be saying that to you a lot moving forward, but you're doing awesome work, man. It's awesome to see. And one of my other final thoughts is just, treat your courses with respect. I'm going to leave it plain and simple, even though I do have a trivia question, though.
Hang on.
Throw it.
All right. Who are the only 2 golfers that were ranked number 1 in the world that never won a major?
I know one of them.
I know one of them.
Well, Greg Norman. No, he won the Open. Never mind.
Luke Donald.
Luke Donald.
Luke Donald. Yeah.
Luke Donald is one of them. Yes. And then who's the other one?
Is the other one a Brit?
I'm not going to give you guesses. I'm not going to give you any. Yes.
Is it Lee Westwood?
It is Lee Westwood.
Yes.
Yep.
Freaking sign me up for some prizes.
Trey got it right.
Nice.
Yeah, but they kicked our ass in the Ryder Cups. Just saying.
Yeah.
B, what you got?
I don't play golf very often. I might get 6 rounds, 7 rounds in a year, but playing this past weekend at Cabot Citrus I'm so glad my brother invited us to go to this Father's Day Open, which is a 2-day event. Awful format for my father, 75 years old, just trying to putter around the course. But how cool of an experience it was to play golf with my dad and my brother. And it's so much so that we're scheduling some more day trips and some overnights to play some good golf around the Southeast coming up in the next year. So very, very cool weekend.
Get me into that one next year.
Very cool. That facility is we got to have David back on the show.
David told us we could come down there and do a show.
That's true. Yeah.
Andy, bring us home.
My last piece on Oakmont, and again, I think Oakmont was just a fantastic test of golf. Nobody is as tough as the greens are, as fast as the greens are. Nobody complained about the greens. Nobody complained about a pin position. It was just incredible. And, I've had the opportunity to play Oakmont twice, and watching them, the 9th hole, for example, is a pretty wide fairway, right? It slopes a little bit, but it's pretty damn wide. And those guys were hitting it in the rough all day long, all week long, all weekend long. And as Mike Booker says, is when the anxiety's amped up like that, and what the penalty is for hitting it in the rough. Like, to me, that's a great U.S. Open. The quiet man, the guy who is at inner peace, is the one who won, because he wasn't driving it in the rough on 17, wasn't driving it in the rough on 18.
No, he almost jarred it on 17.
Yeah.
All right, boys. As always, great time. We'll catch you next week. Trey, Michael, appreciate the interaction. Look, if you want to win this classic limited edition wedge, check out our social media. Subscribe to the channel. We love the input on the show. And hey, we'll see you next week.
You only have one opportunity to sell your golf property. Shouldn't you partner with an expert that offers you 30-plus years of golf industry experience, combined with the reach of a global leader in real estate? Colliers International Golf Brokerage and Advisory Services understands your unique business needs. Whether it is brokerage, management, and consulting, be reassured that the market leader in the business of golf is providing you the real answers and practical solutions you deserve. Contact Golf Talk Live co-host and Colliers Golf Advisory Services member Alan Depew today at 717-554-8519. That's 717-554-8519.